On my computer. There you go. Hi, welcome to the Urban Couch. So this is today's episode 5, and I'm here with Moloko Mehlape, who is a dietitian. So firstly, Moloko, welcome.
Thank you, Mbali, for having me.
And I think the first thing that we need to do is that I read your bio. Girl, your bio is absolutely amazing. So
Thank you so
Moloko
much.
is a registered dietitian in private practice with special interest in nutrition education, sports nutrition, weight, and chronic disease management. She's a philanthropist who's passionate about making a positive impact in public health through nutrition. Moloko has a bachelor's degree honors in dietetics from Medunsa, master's in dietetics from University of Pretoria, and also a certificate in advanced certificate in diabetes management for healthcare professionals from the CDE, as well as the certificate in good clinical practice from the Birth Health Consortium. And she is currently pursuing her PhD in dietetics, which is absolutely amazing. It blows my mind. And yeah, so she's currently a part-time junior lecturer at Sefako Makgathi University, while she's still continuing with her private practice in Centurion, Olifantsfontein, Krugersdorp, and then also doing clinical work at Circle Health Subacute Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Moloko. Woo-hoo! Jeez, girl, you're so learned.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me about. I think I'm just so excited now getting started and asking you all these questions. But let's talk. I want us to start a game. On the Urban Couch, we have a game. We call it 2 truths and 1 lie. I always fail at it. Hopefully, you're gonna be my first guest where I get it right. So you tell me 3 statements, 2 are truth and 2 are lies, and I'm gonna tell you which one is a lie. All right?
So 4 statements.
3.
Okay.
So 2 truths and 1 lie, and I'll tell you out of those statements which one is a lie. You know, make it nutrition and food and sort of related. Let's see.
Okay. My favorite meal is maotwana.
Okay.
I'm a good dancer.
Okay.
The last one. What can be the last one? I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
You said 2 lies and 1 is the truth, ne?
No, 2 truths and 1 is a lie.
Okay, I said my favorite meal is maotwana.
And you can
dance.
Yeah.
And I'm the best cook.
Okay, I know which one is a lie. You can't bluff. You can't dance. The fact that you can dance, that's a lie. No?
Yes.
I got it right. Yes. So, yeah, thank you, Moloko, for helping me, because this one I always get wrong. Now, where did you grow up?
Okay, I grew up in Hamamawolo, Limpopo, which is close to University of Limpopo. I was raised by my grandparents. I lost my mom when I was still in primary school. So yeah, I was raised by my grandparents.
Yeah.
Yes.
And would you say that, you know, being raised by your grandparents somehow shaped you to be who you are today? So they played a huge role in shaping the Moloko that we see now on TV, we hear on radio, this professional that you've become.
Definitely. You know, my grandparents are not educated, but my grandfather was pro-education, like everything to do with education. Like I remember like every day he used to teach us, like by the age of 5, I knew like the watch, because he was always on our case, teaching us how to write. So people always laugh at the way I hold my pen. So I always say to them, it's because I was taught by someone who didn't go to school, so I cannot hold the pen nicely. That's my handwriting is very bad.
Oh no, but I can tell you now that I'm sure even it doesn't matter. It has, I mean, you've proven from your bio that it doesn't matter how you hold your pen. At the end of the day, what matters is what you write with that pen, and clearly, I mean,
True.
and when you go back home and obviously they've maybe heard you on radio and they've seen you on TV and they know that now you are a junior lecturer at the university and you're pursuing your PhD, what is it sort of like a feel? What sort of things your grandparents say to you that are like a sign of pride? Because I can just imagine, because I mean grandparents is just special.
Yes, unfortunately I lost my grandfather early this year in April. That one was my biggest cheerleader. If I was going to be on the radio, the whole village would know that my granddaughter is going to be on radio. When I go home, most of the time, my duty was to transport her to the weddings, to the funerals, always on my front seat. And he'll tell his friend that, oh, this is my granddaughter. She studied in Medunsa, referring to Medunsa.
So every time, so special.
Yeah, so every time he introduced me to his friends, like he would mention that I studied in Medunsa, which was something he was really proud of.
Yeah. Sure. That's so special. So and I'm so sorry about his loss. That hit home, big time. So, all right. And what motivated you? I guess this question you often maybe get a lot. People asking you, dietetics, it's not something that was common from where we come from. So
True.
why dietetics and how? What motivated you to study dietetics?
Okay, I always knew that I was going to be in the health field because I was an A student when it comes to biology. I always got my 100% or my 90-something% in biology. So I always knew that I would be in the health. Yes, but as to what, I wasn't sure. So due to lack of, when you are in the rural schools, you are not, you don't know much about career guidance and all. Applying for universities and everything. So after passing, I applied at the University of Limpopo for microbiology. Yeah, I remember. And then after seeing my results, I said, no, man, with these results, I'm not going here. I need to go to a medical university.
Yeah.
So I went to Medunsa. It was in January. When I got to Medunsa, I said, I'm here to apply for pharmacy, and they're like, you're applying for pharmacy at this time. You need to apply for next year because we don't have space. And I asked them, what other courses do you have? They said we have speech therapy, occupational therapy, and dietetics.
Yeah.
And then I just picked, okay, there was a chapter that we did in Metric on nutrition. And then I'm like, okay, let's just do dietetics. Girl, for the first year, I didn't understand what the course was all about. It was really confusing. So I was just reading to pass. But honestly, I started understanding what the course was all about in third year. Is when we started doing practical work. That's when I'm like, wow, nutrition is amazing. Like you can go to a surgical ward and give this patient high protein meals, high protein supplements, and they can recover this quickly. That's when I started falling in love with the profession. But honestly, I didn't know what dietetics was all about. I always say it chose me. I didn't choose it.
Yeah. Now that's so true, and normally I think that the assumption is that many people who choose to be whatever profession that they choose to be, especially dietitians, for example, we always knew, you've always known you were gonna be a dietitian. But I think what you're sharing with us right now is quite special, that anybody can relate to that. Dietetics was very unfamiliar where we come from, that it sort of like chose a lot of us, it chose a lot of people, and you are one of those people that it chose you. First year, second year, you were like, I don't know what's happening here. I'm just passing and moving on. But then the third year came along, and that's where you actually grasped the whole thing. And you've embraced it so much. I mean, from studying undergrad, the Bachelor of Science in Dietetics, doing your honors, doing your master's in dietetics, and now pursuing PhD. And you're transitioning. At what point did you make a decision that I'm just not going to end at fourth year I'm not going to end at fourth year, which is honors, but you were going to take it a step further and do masters? What motivated you? What sort of motivated you to do that?
Okay, I'm one person who likes reading, so I knew for sure that I was going to come back to school to do my master's. So I only rested for community service. That's when I was not studying. And then I applied at University of Pretoria. It was 50 of us who applied for masters, but they only took about 8 of us. So I was, really excited about it. So
wait, you can't just fly through that. You can't just fly. No, 50, and they only took 8, and you were one of the 8 people that they took. It keeps on, affirming to everyone that you are like a smart, you're a smart girl.
Thank you. And I think the other person who had a great influence on my academic journey is, I'm not sure if you know her, Professor Una McIntyre. She's more into a dietary assessment. So she was my undergraduate supervisor for research. So she made research look so easy. So I'm like, I am going back to school to do research. She even told me after we aced our undergraduate research and got a distinction, there was 4 of us in a group. She said to me that if you don't come back to school, you'll be wasting resources. And funny part, when I went to UP, she was also lecturing in UP now. So when we did orientation, she was also there, and she was so excited to see me.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yes. And how long was master's, and was it like research work only, or was it a combination of research and coursework?
Sure, it took a very long time. It took me 3.5 years to finish, but when you do it full time, it's 2 years. So when you do it part time, maybe 3 years, but with me it was 3.5 years. Because when you are working, when you're juggling work and school, it's so difficult. So when I used to work for the government, it was easier because there was 9 of us, 9 dietitians in one hospital. So by 12 o'clock, most of the time, you are done with your ward rounds. Maybe you can go and check those critical patients. But I had enough time to study when I was still in the public sector. Problem started when I moved to Gauteng and started my own practice, and the admin that goes into running a practice. So I think I neglected my books for around 7 months after data collection. So when I was supposed to write the report, I delayed. It was just too much. I remember my supervisor, Prof. Gerike, would talk alone in the emails. Girl, are you still there? You cannot give up now. And I wouldn't even reply because, wow, it was too much.
Yeah. And then,
it was too much.
Yeah. So, but then you finished it. Eventually, then it was completed.
Yes, and the other thing with the masters from UP, there's a lot of coursework. Like you do, I think 4 subjects. Each they have 2 to 3 assignments. They have 2 presentations and an exam. So the 2 modules, the first 2 modules are compulsory, which is nutrition assessment and epidemiology.
Okay.
And then the other 2 you select. Like I did sports nutrition and immunonutrition as well. So there are others who do like child health but I was interested in sports nutrition because I used to exercise when I was working in Zanini, Limpopo. So I used to go to the gym, and when you are in the gym, like you get used to some people in the gym, the regulars in the gym. So they used to tell me all sort of things about nutrition. You need to use what. You need to use this protein shake. And I realized, wow, most people who come to the gym, they actually are clueless about nutrition. That's when I started being interested in sports nutrition. So I wanted to check nutrition knowledge of people in the gyms. But we had to restructure it with the professor. So we checked nutrition knowledge and attitudes and practices of soccer and basketball athletes at an academy in the Northwest Province, at a sport academy in the Northwest Province. Yes.
Okay. And who was funding these years of masters? Who was funding masters for you, or how are you funding it? And I just want somebody who is, watching this and, thinking, I want to pursue further and I want to do masters, to understand what are the options that are available for funding this time. Yeah.
I think the first mistake that I made, I didn't even check for funding. I just saved money that next year I'm going to school. So I paid for myself, I think it was 26,000. And then registration fee was 5,000 then. So the 26,000 was once off. And then you would pay registration fee every year until you finish. Only to realize later that, there are, with postgraduates, there is a lot of funding. You don't have to pay for yourself. We have the National Research Foundation, which is sponsoring masters and PhD studies. We have the Nelson Mandela Foundation, which is also sponsoring a lot of masters and PhD studies. There is the Rhodes one. If people can just go to the University of Pretoria website under funding, they have more than 50 sponsorships, and they also have the dates when they are opening and when they are closing, and the selection criteria. And most of these scholarships, they sponsor women. A lot of them, they prioritize women.
Sure. So there are ways of funding. I mean, you just need to know to search, as you're saying. I like what you're saying, where to go and the sort of websites that to go to, and start to familiarize yourself that there are options of funding, as opposed to just saying, I don't have money. Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of them, more than 50. If you can just go to University of Pretoria funding, they have a lot, more than 50 scholarships. The other one, I think, is the protein. What I just saw it the other day. Protein Foundation, but there's a lot, especially in science, in health sciences. There's a lot of sponsorship.
Yeah. Okay. And you said women. I mean, we are there. I'm sure it's about making sure that a girl child goes to school and a girl child has a better life, as much as there are opportunities for male. But I like that approach as well, so that we don't just say, I'm going to end here. Now, before we get into talking about PhD, which I'm so excited to hear more about, has it helped you as Moloko to have studied further as a dietitian beyond undergrad?
Yes, it has. Okay, although when I was still in government, they didn't see why I was studying sports nutrition. They would say, hi, when are you wasting our time? You still belong to us. So why sports nutrition? Why don't you study something else that is also going to benefit the hospital? And I was like, immunonutrition is part of what is going to benefit the hospital, So, and then I always wanted to be a lecturer, and nowadays they don't just take anyone. Like, you need to have masters. Yes. So I remember when I applied for my PhD, I went to Medunsa. I was like, sure, I'm tired of University of Pretoria. I need to change. I need to go back home where it started. So I went back home at Medunsa, and I told them that I want to register for PhD, and then they gave me the forms and some guidance. And I also told them, if there is some space for lecturers, please call me, because I'm interested in becoming full-time academic dietitian. So we can just start part-time, and then I'll go full-time when there's a need.
Yeah.
And I applied for my PhD that day. They helped me. I think a month later, they called to say, no, we have a few posts for part-time lecturers, and then I applied and I got accepted.
Wow. And that's how you landed up being a junior lecturer at the university there. Sure.
Yes, and another opportunity that I got was at University of Pretoria. They had a post, but it was for food service. So it's not my strong point. So,
but you are a good cook.
like,
You said you're a good cook. I know that food service is not only about cooking. I get you. Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot. There's a lot, because now I teach it at Medunsa, but not full time. I'm more into therapy and a little bit of it. So I wanted to go. I said, as much as I want to be a lecturer, but food service, I'm not that strong. I know myself.
Yes.
So I had to reconsider that, and then I turned down the offer, and then that's when I got a call from Medunsa a month later to say, we have posts, apply.
Yeah. Jeez, man. Like, you are, like, I can't with you. Like, I'm struggling. I can't. Like, there's just too many beautiful things. And to think that, you have this drive and this ambition to apply and try this and try that. So a lot of people right now, there's a big surge of dietitians not being employed. I'm just gonna ride on the wave of looking for jobs and stuff like that right now. Is there something, maybe like a tip or two, that you can share with those people who are looking for employment, and they are somebody who's really frustrated? They've got all the qualifications, and they've got a degree in dietetics, but they are not finding a job. They are not even being called for interviews. Is there something that you can advise them on that?
Mbali, can you see me properly? I see as if like I'm on the other side.
I can see you well, yeah?
Oh, okay.
See you well, very well, yeah.
Okay. I think one thing that helps with job hunting is being a member of ATSA. Every week they send those newsletters with So for me to become a private practicing dietitian, I always wanted to come to Gauteng, because all this traveling to University of Pretoria was too much. So I would go to interviews, and the interviews would go well, but when we have to discuss the salary, like, it was too little, and I realized I cannot come to Gauteng and be earning this little. It was quite frustrating. Like, is frustrating. I remember and was asked, like, what's wrong with you? It was frustrating that I would always land these interviews, but I was not happy with the salary. It was quite depressing, So until one day, I saw a newsletter from ATSA. They said there was a new private practice. Private practice that is opening, a medical and dental center that was opening in Centurion. It's a new mall. So when I looked at the structure of the practice, and I'm like, there'll be about 8 doctors in one building. There'll be like a dentist, there'll be physiotherapists and everyone. There's no way I won't make a living here. I contacted the number, and 3-4 years later, I'm practicing there at Intercare. That is one thing that helped me. I don't think if I wasn't a member of ATSA, I would get hold of that information. So those ATSA newsletters, they help a lot, because you always know when there is an opportunity.
Okay. So you'll definitely advise somebody to be an ATSA. So ATSA is an association of dietetics in South Africa. And I mean, they an organization that, in my opinion, should you say, you know what, I'm unemployed, you can reach out to them and have some form of arrangement, even in terms of paying the membership fee, which is not a lot, looking to it for the annual fees. So that is something that dietitians need to. I fully echo that, because I also get the newsletters and the links to opportunities, and I think that is something that is brilliant. Yeah.
And the other thing I think is to do locums as well, because we don't just start a practice without learning how the private practice world work. So I used to do a lot of locums. That's how I learned how to do private practice, sometimes when you look out for someone, they can offer like maybe part-time employment, which is better than nothing, considering that we have a lot of unemployed dietitians currently.
And
And
I'm
sometimes
sure
the money is so little, you know, and you're just doing it for experience. I remember there was a time I was called at to locum. It was in Witbank. Yeah, it was in Witbank, I think, yes. The gig was at the gym. My husband said to me, but you cannot go that far, like for this little money. And for me, it was about experience, honestly.
yeah.
And I ended up having a long-term relationship with those people. So whenever they have their assessments in the gyms around Gauteng, they call me, which is something.
So you continue throwing yourself out there, and even if something pays little, you just find a way around it, and know that you are learning something that no money can buy, which is experience. Because essentially it comes back to that: when an employer wants to employ you and you don't have experience, they also do push back a little bit on that.
Yes.
And you are obviously now lecturing in the like a junior lecturer there at the university. And I want to understand, is it still the same that when you're now on your fourth year, the internship year, not the fourth year, yeah, the fourth year, where there are blocks, which is clinical blocks, clinical block, research, food service management, and community nutrition. Are they still like that?
Yes, it's still like that. Just this morning we had a presentation for the community block. So because of the COVID, the students are no longer going to the facilities, which are the hospitals and the clinics. So what we do, we just give them a case. We just give them scenarios, and then they prepare and submit every day, and then we mark them on those. And then sometimes they have presentations, and we mark them on those.
Oh, okay. So the issue of now, not the issue, but let's talk about the PhD. So you then moved into that. Have you chosen a topic of what you're doing your PhD on? And if you can share with us.
Yes, when I was doing my master's, I assessed nutrition knowledge and practices of soccer and basketball athletes. So I found that they don't have knowledge when it comes to nutrition, and they have like poor nutrition practices that can land their health in danger.
Yeah.
So for the PhD, what we are trying to do is to try and see if nutrition education by a registered dietitian can improve nutrition knowledge of soccer athletes. This time I'm focusing on soccer. So I'm developing a manual that is going to help in the education. So we're going to assess the knowledge before we do the education, and then afterwards, and see how if it works.
Yes. And I think that is something, that topic is neat, like it's something that is very important, because I interact with soccer players, even soccer players on a professional level, and they will tell me, I don't know, I just eat whatever, and I'll be like, oh no, this is your career. I'm talking particularly in South Africa, playing in the whole PSL platform, but you don't even know what you need to eat to improve your performance as a soccer player. So I can see, yeah, so what you're doing is really groundbreaking, because we can also help us as other dietitians who are into sports nutrition in the future use your research to advocate for certain things.
Yes, I was talking to Dr. Tulani the other day, the PSL doctor, and I was surprised they don't have a dietitian in their team. When they go to camps, there is no dietitian at all. No. And I was asking him, how do you do it? You don't have a dietitian, the most important member of the team. It cannot be.
Yeah, no. So it can't be. So your research, because now we can pull out your study in the next couple of years when it's done and be like, she did it. It proves that we are needed, we are important. When we are involved as dietitians into soccer teams and stuff like that, even the performance in the future, we can look into that as well. But groundbreaking. I'm like, kudos to you. I mean, that is a perfect and a much needed topic for the future, and also starting obviously from now. I don't want to put pressure on you to say, hey, finish your PhD, we want that.
To be
But
honest, it's quite hard right now because, I started lecturing this year and there's a busy practice as well, and there's a new baby as well, it's the night shifts. So, it's quite hectic. I haven't touched my books in about 2 weeks, but whenever I get a chance, I do. So I told myself this year I'm not going to be too hard on myself. So I'm going to do something, but I'm not going to be that hard on myself. Next year, my baby will be at least a year old, and then I can start doing things. I can get my mojo back, my studying mojo back, because I normally study in the evening when everyone is sleeping.
Yeah.
But when you have to do night shift.
I'm just laughing. I've seen your beautiful pictures of your beautiful baby. And I don't know how you do it, to be studying, lecturing, running on practice, and have a newborn. So she's 6 months old now, right?
Yes.
And I think I saw a post a week or two ago during the breastfeeding week, and you did a post on that on social media. And I'm gonna ask, did you breastfeed her? Are you still breastfeeding her? And how is that with all the work that you're doing?
I am breastfeeding. I'm still breastfeeding. We are starting solids this week because she's turning 6 actually on Tuesday. Yes, and she's already showing those signs of readiness, sitting by herself, moving with you when you are eating, moving with your hand and all that. So I am still breastfeeding, but I must say it's not as easy as we always tell women in the postnatal wards that you must breastfeed, you must breastfeed. With me, I struggled a lot with attachment.
Mm-hmm.
Attaching the baby to the breast, it was not easy for me. I think it took me 2 weeks to get to that, but I already had like cracked nipples, engorged breast and everything. So yeah, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are days, when you run a practice, there are stresses sometimes, or you get too many patients, you have a lot of meal plans to do. So the stresses also reduces your breast milk production.
Yeah.
So there are days when I wake up and I'm trying to express and the milk is just saying, no, not today. So I'll have to cancel my day, because I didn't think of giving my baby formula at all. So I'll just cancel my day.
Sure. So full on, it's doable. Everyone there listening at home, it's doable. A child can and should be exclusively breastfed, meaning that there is no tea, there is no water, there is no artificial milk, but only breast milk. And I mean, if you follow Moloko on Instagram, you'll check it out. Sometimes she often posts it on her stories. She's the most adorable baby, and she's perfect. So breast milk is enough. And I think what you're saying, and I like the fact that you would go with the days and see how other days go. And if other days are not permitting, you cancel the day instead of giving up and going to the shop and buying formula, which you could, but you chose not to.
Yes. And I remember telling my nanny that this baby is not drinking water. This baby is not eating anything for 6 months. And she was shocked, like, how is that possible? But no, at 3 months, I must give the baby some food. I'm like, no, not this one. Not this one.
Yes. And I guess when we are, and I like what you said again at the beginning when you said you had challenges at the beginning, cracked nipples and washed breasts, and sometimes we don't normalize that. It's as if when that happens, it's abnormal, you must stop breastfeeding,
or you are failing as a mom.
Exactly, and this is so assuring to mothers out there that we are trained, we are professionals in the field of nutrition. We trained about breastfeeding from day one. We work into university. And this is coming from somebody with master's who's now doing her PhD as a dietitian, saying, I had all those problems that you could also experience, but it's doable. And the bigger picture is that breast milk is the foundation of life for that baby. And if you put that in the forefront, then nothing can then come in the way. I love that. Sure. And has been a mom, changed your perspective in life in general? I know this is a little bit personal, but is there something that has just changed, a new Moloko that you've just unleashed by being a mom?
I think a lot. You know, I'm one person who likes going out, but like that has changed a lot. Hey,
Yeah.
when I come back from work, I just, besides the lockdown,
Yeah.
I just can't wait to go home to my daughter. You know, and sometimes even at lunch, I just come back home just to
Yeah.
see her. You know,
Yeah.
so like it's like I'm living for her. You know, everything
Yeah.
has changed. And I'm one person who loves shopping. You know, I have a lot of shoes that I don't even know where to put them.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, nowadays when I go to the shops, I only see baby girl clothes. I haven't bought myself anything new in a long time, in the longest time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my
Other
goodness.
time it was very cold the other time, and I realized I don't have socks. You know, I
But
don't
I'm
have
sure
socks, but
she's
I'm
got
putting in
plenty
the
of
shoes.
socks. She's got socks of the store.
Yes,
Oh
because
my.
nowadays there is someone I put before myself.
Yeah. Oh wow. You know, I think you making my ovaries just like I need a newborn now because my children.
You can add one. You can add the last one.
No, darling, no, it's not happening. If my husband will say this and he knows, like, no, no, no. Now, so we are trying to put out there the profession of dietitians, and I think you are doing that in your space. People like me are doing that in our space. So we are all individually just trying to do what we can. What is the role, in your opinion, or the value that dietitians add into the community, into the society, into the hospital? We can pick whatever platform, but or in social media, whatever. But what is that value that you always think of and say, this is the value that I'm adding as a dietitian in the society?
Okay, when I was doing my master's, the other thing that I investigated was sources of nutrition knowledge for athletes. Where do they get their nutrition information? And thirdly, TV and newspapers. Their coaches were the first source of nutrition information, followed by teammates, and followed by newspapers and TV. So for me, I found that very dangerous because when we speak about athletes, these are people who need proper nutrition to excel in sports. So I think the role of a dietitian is to educate the community on proper nutrition or proper ways of choosing the right quality of food, and also the quantity of food as well. So when everyone is getting all this nutrition information from these wrong sources, they end up getting the wrong information as well. So I think it's our duty as dietitians to fix the damage that is done by newspapers. You know, these things are not regulated. You know, anyone can just go to Google and say 10 reasons why you need to stop eating starch, you know, and then I Google and I find that information. I'm like, okay, starch is bad. So I think our biggest role is to educate the society on evidence-based nutrition, because there's a whole lot of nutrition sources. There's a whole lot of self-proclaimed nutritionists out there.
Wow. And you know, when we look into the space of nutrition, and I'm surprised, but I'm not really surprised that even the coaches, they get their nutrition sources, their nutrition information, all sorts of sources. I mean, TV and stuff like that, teammates, because everybody these days claims to know. Just because you can eat and drink, people claim that they know nutrition. And we know that that's not right. I mean, there is a big science to food that a person just by eating and tasting and chewing the food cannot comprehend unless they are trained and qualified to do so. Yeah.
Yes, there's a whole lot of physiology that we learn, the whole lot of nutrition, the relationship between nutrients, you know, and medication, all those things that we learn at school. So people think they can just be a nutritionist in a day or in 2 weeks, and they call themselves what do they call themselves again? Nutrition consultants.
Yeah, or nutrition coach, or nutrition consultant, or nutrition I don't know. But it's like there's a lot of just because you've got 3 million views doesn't qualify you.
Yes, recently we saw there's a nutritional chef as well. Hey,
whoa, that blew my mind. I was like, I've seen it all, mind blowing. And when you look into that, another thing that adds on and makes it quite difficult is because somebody who's trusted in the community, they come and call themselves a nutritional chef, which is a title, by the way, just a disclaimer, that doesn't exist in the Health Professional Council of South Africa. We don't have nutritional chefs. And a person has a huge followership and is sharing nutrition that is not based on science, pseudoscience, and start telling people with who've got COVID-19 to say, just stop eating meat, everything is gonna be right, or just stop eating dairy, everything is gonna be right. That is so dangerous. That is very dangerous. Yeah.
It is. And all those people are very stubborn. The other day, someone posted the amount of they said you need to eat 2 oranges a day to meet your vitamin C requirements. And I disputed that to say no, that is not the case. So there's a post that he once did on vitamin C and good sources of vitamin C. And citrus fruits are not the top 10, something like that.
Yeah.
So I matched that and I shared it with that person that this is a post by a fellow dietitian on rich vitamin C sources. And the person said, I wouldn't go to that dietitian.
Oh my God!
And I'm like, wow, people actually, like, they don't see our role as dietitians. I don't know, like they undermine us.
No, they
so
do.
Much.
They do.
They think they know better.
You know, when you look, I like that example of vitamin C. I mean, vitamin C is a very popular vitamin at the moment. It's a star of the show. So people think that, oh, just because we've been told about oranges being high in vitamin C, then they're the only source of vitamin C. And when you then pull out and say, no, per 100 gram, you know, the nutritional analysis or the science of food says that guavas and this and that, they're like, oh no, we were not told about that. You know, the internet does not tell us about that. So stop putting it in our face.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of instances, a lot in corporate, you know, when I'm doing corporate wellness, where I come back home at the end of the corporate day and I feel so much heavy because these people come and go in your desk and they're like, you tell them something and they challenge it. And you are there trying to explain your case. I know, the science says, and they don't even want to listen to it. So those type of instances are pushing us more to say, we need to take up the space, right? As dietitians and claim it, because we, in fact, we owe it to our commitment to serve in a way, because when we leave community service, that is when we are somehow visually, you know, given those powers to say, now go on and serve and truly help people as dietitians. So I think you will also share the same sentiments that dietitians need to take up the space, as Zozibini calls it.
Yes, the very same way influencers are doing it. I like what you are doing every day. I think in terms of the media, like, you are doing really, really well. And I don't know where you get time to create all this content and the nice infographics, eh? But you're doing really well with all this information, because you are rebasing the common needs every day, you know. So I have to applaud you on that. Eh? I always say, but where does Mbali get time for all this? Because, like, you post like maybe 2 things in a day, and those things take a lot of time.
No, after all of this pandemic is over, me and you have to have some coffee, and I'll tell you the secrets that I don't want to share here of where do I get the time.
Honestly, and the infographics, you do them yourself?
Most of them, because I need to be my mandate when it comes to the information I share on social media is that it has to be things that I myself have put together and can stand by them. So I get inspiration from a lot of maybe posts I've seen or a lot of things that people say, and I'm always just in a lookout of things that I need to educate people on. So, but
and they're always so relevant.
I think with time, as and when, I can just share this with other dietitians as well, that as you do it, you start learning and practicing and your skill gets sharpened, that, you know, it gets better. It gets really better with that creativity. But I'm a creative at heart. So for me, it's just something that I always wanted to do and love doing. So yeah.
But and I was just thinking the other day that, you know, Mbali is sleeping on an opportunity. Just trying to charge my phone here because I was charging it with a laptop, and it's not that fast. So I was thinking the other day that, you know, Mbali is sleeping on this opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, every year there's always this workshops that we pay a lot of money for those workshops, private practice management. And I think if Mbali Mapholi can hold a private practice management course, I think most people would attend, because in terms of media, I think previously we used to only listen to like only white dietitians in the past. But nowadays, when you like listen to Metro FM, Mbali Mapholi, you know, you listen to Musering FM, Mbali Mapholi, you switch on your radio, Mbali Mapholi. So I think that is an opportunity that you are actually sleeping on. Yeah. Because yeah, you have done well for yourself when it comes to private practice.
And speaking of which, I'm hosting a masterclass, just a basic introductory masterclass next week, because since I started doing these sessions, I've had a lot of dietitians reach out to me. So I decided to just put together that. So I'm hosting it next week, but obviously I'll share the details on the platforms. Then dietitians or dietitians to be, or whatever the case is, they can join in, and I'll share, you know, my experiences. And then obviously in the future, I can make it more formal and do a manual and stuff like that. But for now, it's just, you know, pick my brain and have a presentation like that. So, but thank you. That means a lot. My head is growing. I already have a big head, but it's growing from what you say. Yeah. So I just wanna, you know, pull everything together. You know, Uguti, like umntwana, I'm gonna use a Zulu word, umntwana, from where you come from, raised by your grandparents, and sort of like taking this profession of dietetics by the horns, which was not normally for Black girls like me and you, and saying, I'm gonna climb the ladder of academics. I'm gonna just study. And I like what you said, as much as you said, well, later you find out that your masters could have been paid otherwise, but you were willing to pay it yourself and start climbing that academic ladder. Where you are at now, you'll be wearing a red gown very, 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 very soon. So how does that make you feel as Moloko, you know, to reflect on that journey a bit? How does that make you feel?
Okay, like growing up, I've always been like this driven child, you know. I remember like the school that I went to, like I used to travel around 4 to 5 kilometers to school. You know, no transport. Yes. So I used to be very driven. Even the school that I went to, like we didn't have many resources, but I always told myself that, you know, I'm going to make it regardless. You know, when I was in matric, I was the first student in that school to have a distinction in biology, the first ever, without the resources and all. So when I look back, I can say I'm proud of myself, because I always told myself that, you know what, no matter where I come from, I'm going to be someone. I'm going to be a better person in life. Even in my varsity, I got, like, finally I got a lot of awards. Like I got an award for best in community nutrition, best in therapeutic nutrition, best in therapeutic nutrition practice and research. I think I got like 4 awards. You know, during the oath taking, they would call my name, I sit down, I collect the award, I would sit down. when I'm about to sit down, they call my name again, you know. So that was, yes. So I've always been this ambitious person, and I'm very proud of myself, to be honest. Like, from where I come from, even my grandfather used to tell me that we are so proud of you.
Mm. Mm.
So
Sure.
to the black child out there, I can say, you know, it doesn't matter where you come from. If you are driven, if you are ambitious, if you believe in yourself, it doesn't really matter where you come from.
I don't cry easily. I hardly ever cry, but I'm teary because, you know, just like your story, whew. But your story is absolutely inspiring. And I think that for me, I've just now had a like that light bulb moment that we work so hard, and you can attest to that, the amount of work that goes into pushing your practice, pushing your studies, pushing yourself as a brand, and to be able to have a platform and just talk about yourself, it's a rare type of an opportunity. So I just now had a moment of thinking, I'm so grateful that even this idea came to mind, that I'm able to have a conversation with dietitians, not only just for the sake of me making new friends or strengthening, you know, colleague friendships, but also just inspiring other young girls, other young boys that are out there that could not even be dietitians or even have a dream of becoming dietitians, just in life, because our struggles are similar as you know, black girls and black boys growing up in the villages. We went through the similar type of experience. So this, I am really appreciative of your time and giving us this chance to have a sit down with you, you know. And yeah, I don't know, I'm touched beyond, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. And as we wrap up, what's next for you? Just, you know, I know PhD is happening, and, you know, just to give us all of those things, what else? What are you, I don't know, I don't like to give it a time frame, but where do you see yourself? You know, what's going on in that front?
I honestly want to get into the academia like full time, you know. I've been a public dietitian. Like I've worked in a public hospital and private practice, which is, it's a lot of work. You know, I don't remember the last time I watched TV. Hey, I don't watch TV because I'm always busy.
You're always working.
Yes, I'm always so busy, you know. So I'm looking into being in the academia full time, but my practice, as we have unemployment problems in terms of dietetics, I'm looking into employing people into the practice, and I move into the academia full time. I enjoy writing so much. I enjoy reading articles so much. I always tell my husband that if I had money, if I was rich, I was going to study like full time.
Sure. So that's on the pipeline, and I'm sure one day even that dream of studying full time, we'll see you going professor route and all that will happen in the near
That's the
future.
goal.
And I suppose, you know, employing dietitians to what? Oh no, we have lost Moloko. I think her phone died or something, but this has been one of the most inspiring, you know, conversations I've had in a very long time. And I myself, I'm very much touched, and yeah, my heart is just so full right now that, you know, I'm grateful to Moloko for joining us. And yeah, but sure, we've had such a great session. Like, I must say that we've had such a great session. So there you go. Sure. Thank you so much for joining the Urban Couch, and we shall come back again next week Friday, and we will do this again. And thank you, Moloko. We had spoken about a lot of things. Thank you so much for joining us on the Urban Couch, And yeah, so thank you.